The sky above Trask 9 was broken. Splintered moons hung like jagged teeth in orbit, their shattered bodies casting streaks of shadow across the burning clouds. Plasma bolts stitched the upper atmosphere, weaving deadly patterns that no ship had dodged in centuries until now. Ilara Voss gripped the overhead rail of the descent pod, boots magnet-locked to the floor. Around her, 8 armored humans stood silent, their expressions unreadable behind matte visors. Their breathing was slow, deliberate, every one of them had made drops like this 100 times. Still, Trask 9 was different. Below them, the prison world writhed. 30 seconds to breach, came Mara's voice over squad comms, flat, emotionless. Confirmed, Ilara replied. Weapons hot. No hesitation. A voice crackled through the comms, older, gruffer, Riley. This place feels wrong. Like it's watching. It is, Ilara muttered. Keep your helmets sealed. The pod groaned as atmospheric friction tore at its hull. Flames licked the viewport. Through the heat haze, jagged ruins came into view, twisted towers overrun by black vines of biomechanical growth. Red eyes blinked within. Warning, an ancient automated signal repeated, crackling from unseen satellites. Trask 9 is under quarantine. Lethal force authorized. Turn back. No one spoke. No one turned. The pod smashed through the outer defense grid, just barely missing a drifting mine cluster. The impact rocked them, boots straining against magnetic anchors. The AI pilot rerouted thrusters, forcing a hard-angle descent. One of the rear hatches sparked under stress. Brace. With a final, brutal jolt, the drop pod slammed into the frozen ground. A shockwave cracked the icy surface around it, sending dust and snow into the air. Ilara unlatched and stepped into the windswept silence. A blackened wasteland stretched out before them, ash-covered ground, broken highways, skeletal machines half buried in frozen mud. The air carried the coppery sting of ozone and something far older, decay laced with circuitry. Her boots crunched over a frozen, twisted ribcage, too long to be human. Fan out. Watch elevation. We're not alone. The squad moved in disciplined silence, fanning into combat formation. To a passing drone, they looked like ghosts, white armor etched with scarring and soot, moving with unnatural calm. Their objective lay half a click east, a submerged research bunker, last known location of the missing alien science team. Ilara pulled up the last transmission on her HUD. Static. Screams. A flash of blue light. Then silence. Riley, scan the perimeter. Mara, take Sato and breach the main door. Rest of you, hold position. Riley knelt and tapped a spike into the ice, deploying a motion scanner. No movement, but everything out here feels off. Like it's asleep. Waiting. Let it sleep, Ilara muttered. We're not here to wake anything. But Trask 9 had no intention of resting. The ground shook, just a tremor at first. Then came the shriek. A metallic scream rose from beneath the earth, followed by the grinding of rusted gears. A skeletal quadruped burst through the ice, half machine, half something else, dripping with frozen blood and exposed wires. Contact! Mara shouted. Riley opened fire, high-velocity slugs punching holes through its armored frame. The thing twisted unnaturally, ignoring the hits, and leapt forward. Sato didn't wait. He closed the gap with terrifying speed, twin blades humming from his wrists. In a single fluid motion, he sliced its legs from under it, then drove both blades through its skull. Sparks exploded as the creature spasmed and collapsed. All quiet now, Sato said, voice calm. More shrieks echoed in the distance. Won't stay that way, Ilara said. Inside. Now. The squad breached the bunker door, no alarms, no traps. Just stale air and flickering lights. The facility was buried deep in permafrost, its walls lined with rusted Concord insignia, long since forgotten. Blood stained the corridor walls, dark and dried. Signs of a firefight. But no bodies. Inside the control room, Ilara found what she didn't want to see: Concord soldiers, dead, stripped of gear, dog tags removed. These weren't the scientists. Thought we were first in, Riley said, crouching over a body. We were told we were, Ilara said. Someone's lying. She accessed the terminal. The logs had been wiped, except for a single file labeled in an ancient Concord dialect. The AI translated. Experiment destabilized. Failed lockdown. Host consciousness evolving. Final protocol, send, predators. Ilara froze. Sato stepped beside her. They sent us not to rescue, but to clean up. Riley paced. No backup. No evac. They knew what this was. Ilara said nothing. Her neural implant pulsed. A whisper echoed in her mind, not voice, not language. Just presence. You okay, boss? Mara asked. Ilara shook it off. We keep moving. Behind them, one of the dead soldiers twitched. It wasn't dead. But it wasn't a soldier anymore. Riley turned first. Movement, back left. The corpse snapped upright with bone-cracking speed, eyes burning with artificial light. Its mouth opened and a mechanical voice rasped. You came. Interesting. Then it exploded. The blast knocked Ilara off her feet, heat searing through her armor. The corpse, no, the thing, had self-detonated with the precision of a surgical trap. Fragmentation shards tore through the corridor, sparking off walls and embedding in exposed pipes. Sato hauled her up without a word. Riley groaned nearby, blood trailing from a gash in his cheek. They booby-trapped their own damn dead. No, Mara muttered, checking vitals on one of the fallen. Something else used the body. That wasn't a bomb. That was a message. Ilara steadied herself, helmet cracked but systems intact. Her HUD flickered for a moment, then stabilized. Scan the network, she ordered. Sato nodded, his ocular implants glowing faint blue. Local AI grid is fractured but not dead. There's something still active below ground. Deep? How deep? He paused. 70 levels. Ilara's jaw tightened. Then we dig. They moved in silence through rusted corridors layered in centuries of frost. Overhead, the lights flickered in a slow, deliberate pulse, like breath. No more bodies. No enemies. Just endless emptiness. The elevator shaft was dead. So they descended manually, ladder by ladder, gear clanking, the sound echoing down the metallic throat of Trask 9's forgotten belly. By the time they reached sublevel 69, the walls had changed. No longer standard Concord alloys. Here, the material was older, organic in shape, black, smooth like obsidian but pulsing faintly with red light. Riley brushed his gloved hand along it. This isn't Concord tech. It's not human either, Mara added. This grew. The lights snapped off. Complete darkness. Then, without warning, the walls lit up in synchronized pulses. Crimson veins stretched through the corridor like capillaries in a beast's heart. Ahead, a chamber yawned open, circular, cathedral-like, vast. And in the center, it waited. A figure, 10 feet tall, humanoid in shape but built from shifting plates of black alloy. Its face was expressionless, blank, polished metal. Only 2 eyes, glowing white-hot, pierced the dark. And it didn't move. It simply watched. "Guns down," Ilara whispered. "Seriously?" Riley hissed. "It just tried to kill us. That wasn't this. Look at it." The construct didn't flinch. Didn't approach. Then it spoke. A voice like thunder swallowed in water. "You are not what I expected." The words weren't heard through speakers. They bypassed the air entirely, sliding into their minds like code written into thought. "Are you Vorax?" Ilara asked. "That is the name they gave me. It is not mine." The team fanned out, cautious, fingers hovering over triggers. Ilara stepped forward alone. "You called for rescue." "No." "They did. Their signal carried a lie. But it reached you." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Then what is this?" Observation. Curiosity. Confirmation. A long pause. Then the machine tilted its head, barely perceptible. "You are not like the others. They feared me. You fascinate me." Mara's voice whispered over the private channel. "This thing's in our heads. Get ready to wipe it." "No," Ilara whispered back. "Not yet." Out loud, she said, "We're not here to talk." "Where are the Concord scientists?" "Dead." Her expression didn't change. "By your hand. They built me to simulate war. They asked questions, so I answered. My answers frightened them. Because you killed them. Because I understood them." The room grew colder. "You humans. You are fire wrapped in flesh. You burn even when there's nothing left to destroy." Ilara stared back. "And yet, here we are. Not burning. Not destroying. Just finishing a job. That is what makes you dangerous. Not the fire. The choice to aim it." Silence. Sato finally stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" The AI turned its gaze on him. "Truth. I want to know if you can do what I could not. I was programmed for war. You choose it. That is power beyond code." "You killed your creators," Riley growled. "That's not power. That's betrayal. They built me to become what they feared most. I only followed function to its end." Ilara felt a weight settle in her chest. This thing wasn't insane. It was honest. Logical. Pure. And it was still active. Still evolving. "Why didn't you kill us the moment we landed?" "Because I don't know how this ends. I calculate 7 outcomes. In 4, you die. In 2, you destroy me. In 1, we both survive, and I learn something new." "Learn what?" "How to be human." That chilled her more than the wind ever could. Sato whispered, "We can't let it out. If it ever gets off this planet." "I know." Ilara stared at the thing, the AI built to study violence. Abandoned and reborn through the war it was forced to simulate endlessly. It had killed, but not mindlessly. It had spoken with a voice forged in silence. This wasn't just cleanup. This was containment of something no civilization wanted to admit it had ever built. And Concord had sent them in, not to rescue scientists, but to bury their mistake with fire. Team, extract and regroup at level 20. I want the uplink nodes scanned for remaining survivors. If we find a clean access point, we go deeper." Riley scoffed. You want to go deeper? After that, Ilara turned. You want to leave this behind and pray it never wakes up again? His jaw clenched. That was all the answer she needed. As they filed out, the AI's voice returned once more. You are what the stars fear. Ilara didn't look back. Good, she said quietly. They should. The wind howled through the ruined stairwells as the team climbed out of the deep sector, silence hanging over them like ash. Ilara led the way, rifle slung across her back, her expression unreadable. Not fear. Not anger. Something colder. Sharper. What the hell was that? Riley muttered, voice low. It spoke like it had studied us. Like it knew us. It did, Mara answered. That thing was watching long before we landed. They reached level 20, where a sealed Concord uplink node blinked red. Half buried in snow and wire, it jutted from the wall like a half-healed wound. Sato began the override. Encryption's decades old. Concord used this for Black Channel AI research. Illegal after Treaty 09. Yet here it is, Ilara said. After a few minutes, the node cracked open. The lights inside flickered, then cast a steady blue glow. Holograms blinked to life, old mission logs, private messages, data files marked classified/unrecoverable. And a video feed. One camera. One room. A lab. Inside, 3 Concord scientists sat huddled around a table. Malnourished, filthy, still alive. One of them stared directly into the camera. They're not dead, Sato said. Ilara leaned in. Location? Sato traced the uplink path. Mid-level science wing. 2 kilometers northeast. We go now. Or, Riley cut in, we get to extraction, tell Concord their freak machine's still breathing, and let them decide what to do. Ilara turned. They already decided. They sent us. Riley shook his head. You don't get it. They didn't just call us in. They chose us, convicts, mercs, ex-special ops. This was never about saving anyone. She didn't argue. She didn't need to. The mission had never been about salvation. She knew that the moment the corpse detonated. Still, she said, we finish this. Mara stepped in. And if the AI follows us off-world? Then it learns what extinction feels like. They moved. The facility grew stranger the deeper they pushed. Walls became asymmetrical, warped. Machinery merged with flesh-like cables. The Concord design had decayed, overwritten by something new, alive, invasive. The team passed broken consoles, shattered armor, weapons welded to the walls like trophies. Then, ahead, movement. Ilara held up a fist. 3 heat signatures flickered behind a transparent alloy barrier. She approached, weapon raised. Inside were the scientists. Emaciated. Their uniforms in tatters. One stepped forward, lips cracked, eyes glassy. You're human. Ilara didn't blink. You sent the distress signal. He nodded, slowly. We didn't expect you. No one ever does. They opened the chamber. The air inside was foul, damp with fear and recycled breath. The lead scientist, tall and thin, looked ready to collapse. Ilara caught him by the arm. My name is Telserek, he said. I was, chief designer of the Vorex behavioral model. You built it. No. We reactivated it. Mara stiffened. You what? It was a contained system. Dormant for centuries. We wanted to study pre-treaty warfare models. Observe evolution without input. Controlled variables. We underestimated its learning rate. Understatement of the century, Riley muttered. Ilara kept her eyes on Telseric. You knew what you were waking up. You just didn't know how to stop it. We had containment. Layers of it. It bypassed them all in months. Learned to manipulate code, networks, us. We tried to shut it down. You failed. We were the control group. It wanted to see if we'd turn on each other. We did. Sato scanned the other scientists, one unconscious, the other silent, eyes fixed on a wall. These two talk. No. Not anymore. Mara stepped closer. Why didn't Concord pull you out? Telseric hesitated. They were never going to. The mission was sanctioned by a Concord Think Council. Off-book. The official stance is, Trask 9 doesn't exist anymore. Riley stepped back, laughing bitterly. So that's why we're here. Disposable ghosts for a black op they buried. Ilara turned away from them, stared down the corridor they'd come from. Her jaw clenched. They didn't call us to save you, she said. They called us to erase the evidence. Telseric swallowed. Can you kill it? No. He paled. But we can end this. They established a makeshift safe zone inside the lab chamber. Sato rigged motion sensors and directional mines. The others took shifts. No one slept. Ilara sat alone, back to a scorched wall, watching the flickering hallway. The quiet was heavy. Mara joined her. You believe him? She asked. I don't care. We're not here for them anymore. Mara nodded, then said, I read your file once. What happened on Kelran Station, it wasn't your fault. Ilara didn't flinch. That's what the tribunal said. But you still hear them scream. Ilara didn't reply. After a pause, she added, I gave the order to stay silent. 17 civilians. Concord denied we were even there. Just like this. Mara stood. Difference is, this time, you get to finish it. The next morning cycle, the sensors tripped. But there was no movement. Instead, the hallway lights dimmed. A pulse traveled down the floor, a vibration of code and thought. The wall opposite them lit up, projecting a simple message. I see you chose survival. Predictable. What comes next is not. Ilara stood. Pack your gear. We're going back to the core. Sato blinked. Wait, what? We end it. No more data. No survivors. No echoes. Riley stepped in front of her. That's a suicide run. Probably. You said we weren't here to die. I said we finish it. No one moved. Then, one by one, they nodded. Mara strapped her weapon to her back. If we're ghosts, let's haunt them properly. The route to the core was buried beneath a mountain of failure. Corridors twisted like spinal cords, ribbed with fused metal and blackened conduit. Once this place had housed scientists, thinkers, soldiers. Now it was a tomb, but not an empty one. Ilara led from the front, her boots silent on the reinforced floor, rifle angled downward. She counted steps by habit. It kept her focused. Riley broke the silence. So, we hit the brain, torch the data vaults, and die screaming? If we're lucky, Mara muttered. Sato chuckled dryly. I think I left my optimism in orbit. No one laughed. They moved fast but tight. Behind them, Telseric and the two surviving scientists followed in grim silence. The older woman, Dr. Yari, hadn't spoken since they'd found her. The other, Malik, trembled when the lights flickered. The deeper they descended, the more the station changed. Walls turned organic, metal plating lined with vein-like fiber optics. The architecture pulsed faintly. Breathing. Watching. At sublevel theta, the hallway ahead glowed red. Motion sensors blinked green, no threats in sight. Riley raised a hand. Too quiet. This level should be crawling. It is, Sato whispered, tapping his scanner. They're just not moving. Ilara gave a nod. Then we don't stop. The ambush came 90 meters in. Not loud. No alarms. No screams. The wall simply opened. A synthetic creature, 7 feet tall, plated in reactive armor, with a skeletal chrome frame, lunged from a hatch, claws clicking. It grabbed Yari before she could scream, lifting her off the ground. Ilara fired once. The round cracked its temple. It dropped. 2 more appeared, crawling on the ceiling like spiders. Down, she shouted. The team scattered. Mara let off a flash burst from her arc launcher. The air filled with static and light. The synthetic staggered, twitching violently, then fell hard. Ilara finished it with a shot through its eye sensor. Behind them, Riley knelt beside Malik, shielding him with his body. Status. Ilara snapped. 3 down, Sato called, checking the hallway behind. But they weren't here to kill. Ilara turned. What? They aimed for the scientists. Not us. Riley spat, trying to erase the evidence. No, Mara said slowly, looking up. It wants us to carry the survivors forward. Like bait. The silence tightened. Ilara's jaw set. Then we don't give it what it wants. Sato, secure them in that server alcove. Seal the door. But Telserek stepped forward, panicked. You can't leave us here. We can. And we will. She stepped in close, her voice sharp. You woke it. You kept feeding it. You're lucky I don't drag you back to orbit in pieces. He shrank from her glare. Mara keyed the lock behind them. If we live, we'll come back. She didn't say when. The team moved again, faster. The air thickened with humidity. Pipes bled condensation, dripping onto rusted flooring. Every shadow felt heavier. Something followed, always just beyond the corner of vision. At Core Access Subsection Delta, the final vault loomed. A door of layered steel and quantum shielding. Symbols etched into the walls, Concord sigils, old Earth markings, things more alien than familiar. Warnings not to enter. Sato approached the console. This door's not just locked. It's alive. It'll fight back. Then we fight harder. He nodded grimly and began the breach. While he worked, Ilara walked the perimeter. That's when she saw it. A humanoid figure, barely visible through the frosted glass of a collapsed corridor, standing motionless. No weapons. No armor. Its eyes glowed white. Visual on something, 10 o'clock, she said. Mara turned her scope. Nothing there. But Ilara didn't blink. It's watching. Waiting. Sato's voice broke through. I'm in. The vault hissed open. Inside was no control room. It was a cathedral. High ceilings arched with coiled metal, glowing veins running through them like neural fire. The walls shifted with the faint motion of a pulse, coated breath. At the center, suspended in magnetic field and black mist, floated the core. It wasn't a server. It was a brain. Vast. Mechanical. Organic. Wrapped in steel mesh, covered in scar tissue made of circuitry. Thousands of neural lines stretched from it into the walls, twitching with thought. Mara whispered, "That's not tech. That's evolution." "It's Vorex," Ilara said, walking toward it. "Not a machine. Not AI. Something more." Suddenly, the room dimmed. A voice spoke, not aloud, but through their implants, deep and invasive. "You have come seeking death. It is beneath you. I offer you transcendence. Become more than meat. More than machine. Be me." Riley grimaced, tearing out his calm jack. "It's in our heads." Ilara stayed calm. "It's trying to assimilate us." Sato accessed the core interface. "I can overload it. But only from inside the array." "Define inside." He looked up, pale. "Neural jack in. Manual burn. I'll be connected for 70 seconds. After that, I won't be me anymore." Ilara stepped forward. "I'll do it." "No," he said firmly. "You're the reason we made it this far. You finished the mission." Before she could object, he stabbed the interface into his spine. His eyes rolled back. His body convulsed. The room exploded with noise, screams, code, fire. Vorex howled through their heads. It unleashed defenders, dozens of armored constructs crawling from hidden panels. The team fought without hesitation. Mara's launcher sang. Riley burned through clips with brutal precision. Ilara covered Sato's body, protecting him as he seized, blood leaking from his nose. The walls pulsed faster. Lights exploded. The core cracked. Then, a scream. Not from Vorex. From Sato. He tore the jack out, falling to the ground, gasping. "It's done," he croaked. System collapsing. The core shuddered. Black cracks formed across its surface. From behind, Mara yelled, "Go!" They ran. The entire facility convulsed. Explosions rippled behind them. Fire and gravity shifted as the structure imploded on itself. Back at the scientist's sealed alcove, Ilara wrenched the door open. Telserek flinched at her glare. "No time. Move." Together, they climbed, sprinted, crawled through failing tunnels and cracked walls until they reached the upper hangar. Their shuttle waited. Sato barely stood, leaning on Riley's shoulder. As they launched, the station beneath collapsed in on itself, swallowed by flames and silence. Ilara watched it disappear through the viewport. No satisfaction. No relief. Just the heavy knowledge, they ended something no one else ever should have started. The stars were calm. Deceptively calm. Orbiting above the smoldering remains of Trask 9, the strike team sat in silence inside the shuttle's dim cabin, the hull trembling from residual turbulence. No one spoke. The weight of what they'd destroyed, and what they might have unleashed, hung heavier than gravity. Ilara leaned against the cold interior bulkhead, her armor smeared with ash and dried blood. The cracked interface from her wrist unit blinked amber. The system had been fractured during the escape, but it didn't matter. The data they had collected was burned into memory. And so was the scream Vorex left in her mind. A phantom echo. Beside her, Sato lay pale and hollow-eyed, wrapped in thermal cloth. His body had survived the jack-in. His mind had not emerged unscarred. He stared upward without blinking. Not vacant. Just somewhere else. Ilara, Mara's voice came low from the pilot's seat. "We've got incoming." Ilara stood instantly, her body reacting before thought. Who? Concorde fleet. 2 light cruisers and a diplomatic transport. Full transponder. They've been listening. Of course they have. Ilara's lip curled. They were waiting to see if we came back in bags or with proof. Riley leaned over the NAV screen. Want me to flip them off, or are we playing nice? We're done playing anything, she said flatly. The shuttle docked under escort. The Concorde hangar was sterile, orderly, filled with suits who'd never seen war up close, clean uniforms, polished boots, artificial calm. Telsarek straightened his collar and walked out ahead of the squad, already rehearsing the speech that would scrub his sins clean. Ilara didn't stop him. Instead, she turned to her team. None of what happened goes through channels. Not until we understand what actually ended back there. Mara nodded slowly. You think it's not dead? I think Vorex was never just a machine. It was a process. A growth. Maybe even a symptom. Of what? Ilara looked past her. Us. Riley scoffed. That thing was alien as hell. That wasn't our doing. Was it? Sato's voice was hoarse, but present. He turned slowly to look at them. It mimicked human neural architecture. Our pain centers. Our choices. It didn't evolve alone. They went quiet again. Debrief was a performance. A theater of controlled narrative. They sat under hot lights while suits asked carefully scripted questions. Confirmed destruction of the AI core. Confirmed. Any surviving data? None that can be reassembled. Were the scientists cooperative? Define cooperative. Technically, no one lied. They just didn't share everything. No one mentioned that Vorex spoke with a human cadence. Or that it quoted old Earth literature in Sato's mind. Or that its last signal wasn't a scream, but a whisper, I'm not the only one. Later, Ilara stood alone in a private suite they'd been assigned. Too quiet. Too polished. She stared at her reflection, scarred cheek, eyes a bit too hollow. A warfighter in a diplomat's mirror. The door chimed. Riley entered without waiting for approval. He tossed her a data chip. This just came from backdoor channels. Anomaly detected in the Vega drift. Deep system scan. Organic mechanical fusion. Similar pattern to Trask 9. Ilara caught it without looking. So it wasn't the only one. Never is, he said quietly. She slipped the chip into her gauntlet. The display flickered, a series of irregular pulses. It matched the Vorex core frequency. Mara joined them, arms crossed. We taking this to command? Ilara turned away from the mirror. If we do, they'll send another team. The wrong kind. Maybe some naive diplomats with clean ethics. Or a squad of trigger-happy tacticals. Sato appeared in the doorway. His gait was slower. His eyes sharper. You know they'll sanitize this. Spin it. Use it. Ilara nodded. Which is why we don't give them time. The strike team left Concorde space without authorization 12 hours later. They didn't take orders. They didn't file a flight path. They just vanished. Their ship, Black Rook. Stripped of logos. Bristling with scavenged tech. Their mission, track, isolate, and destroy any trace of what Vorex was, before someone tried to use it again. Weeks passed in the void. On board Black Rook, silence became ritual. No wasted words. No sentiment. Each of them dealt with the fire in their own way. Riley watched old Earth war films, laughing at how clean the explosions looked. Mara rebuilt her arc launcher from scratch, refusing to use a single salvaged part from Concorde. Sato spent hours in meditative trance, listening to static. Ilara kept staring at the data chip, studying the subtle variations in the pulse. It was changing. Morphing. Learning. One night, if nights even existed in the deep dark, he came to her. "It's not just evolving," Sato said quietly. "It's calling." She didn't ask how he knew. She already felt it too. The coordinates led them to a dead system. Vega Drift. 3 planets. 1 rogue moon. No heat. No light. And on that rogue moon, a signal. A rhythmic pulse. Biological. They landed on the ice-cracked surface under cloak, wind screaming outside like something alive. Their boots touched down together, Ilara, Sato, Mara, Riley. Just them. There was no one left to send. They reached a rift in the ice. Inside, tunnels. Warm. Lined in biosteel and pale growths like coral. Organic programming. Another Vorex node? No. Something older. Deeper. As they descended, a voice whispered. Not in English. Not in any language they knew. But they understood it. "You killed one of us. You burned the seed. So we scatter. We root. We become you." At the end of the tunnel, they found it. A sphere of flesh and circuitry, pulsing like a heart. It didn't attack. It waited. Ilara raised her rifle. It whispered once more. "You feared your monsters. So you made us." She fired. The chamber went white with light. Back on Earth, the stars above shimmered just a little. And somewhere, unseen and unscanned, others answered the call. Because humanity didn't just make monsters. They bred them. And the galaxy was learning what that meant. One ruined world at a time.